to everyone. My name is Violetta. Let me introduce my topic: Chornobyl disaster. For the first time in history, the fight is over nuclear power plants, and for the first time we have a precedent for nuclear terrorism. That is why I decided to dedicate my work to the anniversary of the Chornobyl disaster and consider it extremely relevant today. The purpose of my research is expanding knowledge about the tragedy, telling about the volunteer liquidators of the accident, emphasizing the potential danger of radiation for all living things, and showing that there is no other person's trouble. Chernobyl is a small district Ukrainian town of the Kyiv region, drowned in the green of cherry and apple trees, the town of atomic workers. This is the city of the future. But Chernobyl will forever go down in history as the town that gave its name to one of the largest disasters in the history of mankind. This event occurred on 26th of April in 1986 at the Chernobyl nuclear power complex, located in Pripyat in Ukraine. The accident is an explosion of a reactor that caused extensive and almost irreparable damage to the facility. This explosion caused a release of radioactive elements into the sky that inevitably spread throughout the atmosphere to most parts of Europe. To date, the Chornobyl disaster is still categorized as the largest nuclear reactor disaster to happen in history, costing a lot from the number of lives lost inclusive of the effect on a person's health that is still ongoing. The Chernobyl power plant was built as the next-generation project for producing a renewable source of energy that could power the whole city and country in the near future. The main reason of the Chernobyl explosion was human error, the flawed design and operation by inadequately trained personnel. By 1986, Pripyat had 49,000 residents, 15 primary schools, 5 secondary schools, a large hospital complex, 25 stores, 10 gyms, parks, cinemas, 3 indoor swimming pools, 2 stadiums, and an amusement park under construction. 36 hours after the explosion, authorities, using loudspeakers, told the residents of Pripyat to pack 3 days' worth of clothing and food, and to board buses that were waiting for them. Persons who were evacuated from the city of Pripyat and surrounding cities had a whole new city called Slavetich built to accommodate them, a city that was mainly funded by the plant operator. The area, approximately 104 kilometers, 65 miles, north of Kyiv, stretches 30 kilometers in all directions from the blast zone. It is uninhabited save for a small group of residents who refused to leave when the forced evacuations occurred. The uniforms of plant workers are still in the laundry facility, and all clocks are stopped at 11:55, the time when power was cut to the city. Unfortunately, during the start of the Chernobyl explosion series, reports have determined that the whole setup and the evacuation order came way too late. As expected with the explosion of the Chernobyl plant, many persons got radiation poisoning. The nuclear particles, wind and rain had far-reaching effects in Europe, reaching as far as Ireland. As a means to salvage the situation, over 800,000 people volunteered to help contain and clean up the disaster. Among these, about 25,000 have died due to radiation poisoning, while an estimated 70,000 people are now disabled. Even today, radiation levels are so high that workers responsible for maintaining the concrete and steel bunker built over the destroyed reactor are only allowed to work for 5 hours a day. For 1 month before taking 15 days of rest to avoid radiation poisoning. Ukrainian officials estimate the area will not be safe for human life again for another 20,000 years. While there is no longer a risk from radiation in the atmosphere, there are still radiation hot spots in the soil. After 3 decades, the trees and plants of the forest are starting to swallow Pripyat. Today, you can visit Pripyat by going through one of 5 tour operators. Current radiation levels are 15 to several hundred micro-roentgens per hour. A micro-roentgen is a millionth of a Roentgen, and between 300 and 500 Roentgens per hour is considered a lethal dose of radiation. As a means of containing the radiation, a sarcophagus was built around the destroyed reactor. In the event of the collapse of this containment structure, the resulting radiation will be enough to kill up to 100 million people within a few weeks.